Hi, you may be interested in becoming a developer or a software engineer at some point in time. Watching this video will give you the ability to confidently articulate and explain web development jargon to other people and have confident conversations with engineers and developers. Today we're going to talk about front-end and back-end web development. Each of these consists of several concepts and I will be going into them and explaining them to you. And at the end of this video, you will understand exactly what they are. So let's talk about front-end web development first. Firstly, we have HTML, the standard markup language for web pages. It uses a lot of tags, and they typically start with exclamation mark, doc type HTML, closing tag. Here are some examples of HTML. Here are more examples. In essence, HTML represents the elements you see on the web page. Examples of such elements include words, text, videos, and photos. Next up, we have cascading style sheets, or CSS for short. It is a style sheet language used for describing the presentation of a document written in a markup language like HTML. It uses simple syntax and a number of English keywords to specify the names of various style properties. Here are some examples. In essence, CSS is responsible for the styling of HTML. Next, we have JavaScript. It is a core technology of the World Wide Web along with HTML and CSS. It enables interactive web pages and is an essential part of the application. It is widely used for client-side page behavior, and all major web browsers have a dedicated JavaScript engine to execute it. Here's an example. In essence, it represents the interactive part of the web page on the front end by working with HTML and CSS. Examples of what it can do include things like zoom-in functions, alerts, and animations. Now let's talk about the integrated development environment, which is not just a front-end concept. It can be used by both front-end and back-end developers and is responsible for helping people write code. It is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to programmers for software development. It consists of a source code editor, build automation tools, and a debugger. Most modern IDEs have intelligent code completion. Here are some examples. Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, and Atom. In essence, it is easier to write code in an IDE as opposed to using Notepad or Word or Pages. Hence, people use IDEs, or developers use IDEs. Finally, we have web browsers. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this, as this is an application for accessing information on the World Wide Web. Examples include Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and Edge. Now let's talk about back-end web development. First off, we have server-side scripting languages, or back-end languages. It is a technique used in web development which involves employing scripts on a web server to produce a response customized for each user's request to the website. The alternative is for the web server itself to deliver a static web page. Here are some examples of server-side scripting languages: PHP, Python, and Java. Using a server-side scripting language, you can fetch information from the database and display it to the user. And you can display customized responses based on the user's requests, as opposed to a front-end only website or a static web page, which is the alternative. This one can change based on the user's request and we can deliver a different response every time, hence increasing the complexity and functionality of the web application. Next, let's talk about databases. It is accessed by users indirectly through an external application rather than by application programming stored within the database itself or by low-level manipulation of the database through SQL commands. Here are some examples. MySQL, SQL Server, PostgreSQL, Oracle. Basically, a database would store information about the website that is important to the website. It is typically accessed by users indirectly through an external application. What this basically means is that the user uses the web app to access information in the database. In between the database and the user is the server-side programming language and the front-end programming language. You will understand this in much greater detail when you start working with databases directly. In essence though, it basically stores information related to the website. Finally, let's talk a bit about the web servers. It stores the server software and the website's component files, the HTML documents, the images, the CSS style sheets, and the JavaScript files, for example. It is connected to the internet and supports physical data interchange with other devices connected to the web. Here are some examples: Apache, IIS, and Nginx. In essence, every website needs to be stored on a server, and the server is there to store all the things that are related to the website. A server can be much more complicated than this, but for now, this is all you need to know. With that, we are done. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a much better understanding of web development now.